Have you ever moved a 4,000 pound, 30-foot tall oak tree? Because I haven't, but I promise it's gonna be an adventure. Hey, welcome everyone. You're watching Centerline Designs. My name's Cole. And if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you'll know I am no stranger to doing things that I've never done before. It's actually one of the things I enjoy most is the challenge of trying to figure out new things. And today we're gonna try and move this, I don't know, 30 to 40 foot oak tree. It's about 10 inches around at the butt. It's probably a 30 to 40 year old tree. My grandmother built this camp in the early 90s, and I doubt if this tree was there, it was all that big. So it's a bit of an estimation. I have seen pictures of the property before this house, our house, which was just a camp, was built. Why are we moving the tree? Well, we wanted to lift our house this year. That didn't happen for a couple of reasons. We're still currently fabricating the big steel beams to actually hold the house while we dig around the perimeter of it, put footings in, and a walkout basement. I could just go ahead and cut this tree down. It's very close to the house, but we're in a northern climate. Oaks take a very long time to grow up here. And what's the harm in trying to move it? We have the excavator, we have the loader. I have no idea if those two things will be able to move this thing about 100 feet over here on the property. But with the alternative of cutting it down, we might as well try. Because even if I can just replant the root ball, I know from experience, because we have beavers that live next to us and they steal oaks all the time, that when you cut down an oak tree and the root ball and everything is still in the ground, it sends suckers up and they can grow amazingly fast because they have that root structure to grab the nutrients to grow much faster than a sapling starting from square one. So worst case scenario, we cut it down and just replant the root ball. But I don't know, I think we're gonna be able to do it. Unfortunately, I would have liked to move the mini truck, but as happens almost every spring, I moved it and I threw a track off, and that's just not a problem I feel like dealing with right now. So I want to do something fun today. Let's see what we can do. We're gonna have to go get that Mini X fired up, get it up the hill, get the loader going, and once we dig around, and I'm hoping, I don't know what the root structure is like on these type of oaks. A lot of trees in our area will have like a tap root that goes down the center or off to the side, and that's the main structure. Root really grabs everything. I'm hoping we can just dig a perimeter as wide as we kind of can, take some of the dirt off, and then once we know the approximate size, we'll go over here and dig a approximate size hole so that that root ball can just kind of sit back in, and then it's gonna need a lot of water this summer to keep it from dying. And then we'll just fill in this hole with some pit run, some sand, stuff we got down the hill, because eventually, you know, hopefully next year, we'll be digging out and putting the footings in and everything like that on our house. And if all goes well, there is actually a second tree, I don't know, back about there, I might try and move as well. But that one's kind of intertwined with our service, our power service. And I know where the line is, the underground, but I'm gonna attempt on this one first. So let's get down the hill, fire up some equipment, and start digging. We got some videos building these massive 41 foot long, 16-inch I-beams. We're doubling them up. Still in process. Work's kind of stalled there. It's been so hot outside. I haven't been wanting to wear my welding leathers and doing all that. So puttering with other projects because there is real no rush. But there's a series of videos on that if you want to go check them out. All right, let's head down the hill. We're grabbing the little Mini X out of our sea can. And I'm very excited today. I don't talk about my daughter much on the channel. You do see my son from time to time, but we have an almost 5-year-old daughter. She has some disabilities. She had brain damage when she was born. I don't really talk about it a lot, but she has some difficulties in life. She's still currently tube fed, has a gastronomy tube, but she's a beautiful little girl, and she's absolutely obsessed with colors, letters, and numbers. She has been most of her life here, and she just showed us this morning that she can read. She was completely reading books on her own. She only just started talking about 8 months ago and just started walking outside. So her milestones are not in the order you'd expect, but it's super exciting for me and my wife. So anyways, I'm really excited, so I just had to share that. All right, well, plan of attack is pretty basic. There are some rules of thumb I kind of know of when moving trees. For a given inch in diameter of the trunk of the tree, you're supposed to go wider and wider for the root ball. I'm kind of, you know, restrained here with the house. I can only go so far. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to dig about 2 to 3 feet out around the base of the tree. I'm gonna mark it with some ground paint and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Now, out of all this today, number one goal, don't hit the house with the tree or equipment. Whatever outcome happens, as long as I don't do that, it'll be okay. Fingers crossed.
Sorry, tree.
Yeah, the circle lined up. Alrighty. just doing a little more digging and found the first treasure. Like I say, my grandmother built this place in the early to mid 90s, and I was, I don't know, 6 years old. So we played here while it was built, after it was built, and this is one of the old cars that me and my cousins would have played with. Locked up pretty solid, but that's kind of cool. First treasure. How dry it is. We really don't have much topsoil here. It's basically just clay, but this is middle of the lawn, and that's how dry. The cracks just start appearing. Hey Sawyer, did you start reading today? Okay.
My baseball bat.
Yes, I have a baseball bat.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Hi Soy.
You're gonna get sprinkled,
You're gonna get sprayed.
really far. Right in the face. There you go. Better. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Ah!
Well, I have no idea how much digging we need to do, but we're mostly around. Thankfully, it seems like on this oak tree, it's more surface roots and lots of them versus some trees that have a big tap root down the center. It can be really hard because you can't really get under there. Ideally, I'd have like a tree spade on a skid steer, and you can kind of get underneath and pry it up. I don't have a very good way of working under there, so I'm gonna have to kind of push the tree and hope that it brings up a big enough root ball on its own. Done lots of land clearing with the Mini and stuff like that before, and usually when you're trying to stump, you don't even cut the tree down. You push it over and then the stump comes up with it. That's my hope. can definitely push that tree around, and in order to not screw up the bark too much, that's not terrible. But let's put the jib boom arm on, and then maybe we can sling the tree and push and pull.
Very sad because I have childhood memories with that tree.
Well, we successfully got it over. A little bit of bumping and grinding on the trunk of that tree, but we'll get some pruning paint and it should be okay. Now the big question is this movable? We got it over. Can we move it? I don't know.
No.
Let's try and see. Well, we can wiggle it around. We may be able to drag it, but if I take the teeth of the bucket and try not to damage the roots, but just knock some of this heavy clay off, we may be able to do this. I guess let's try that out. Get much clay knocked off the backside. You know, just gonna damage more and more roots, so What we did though is choke it up a lot closer to the quick connect on the machine, which should remove some of that leverage out of the system, give us a little more lifting power. Let's see what that will do.
What?
It worked!
Yeah, and there's a giant crater now in our ground.
Oh, it worked! All right, now I guess we got to dig a new hole. That's pretty cool.
You're gonna have a beach there, Sawyer.
Guess we should get a length on this tree. Grab the tape measure, I'm curious. All right, now we just got to dig this out. We're gonna go get the loader bucket and scoop this dirt right into the loader bucket rather than fill it in that other hole. We're gonna just put some easy soft sand in there. My daughter will have a little bit of a sandbox for the time being. Okay. Whoopsie. much all dug out. I brought some topsoil in. I'm just gonna try and line that clay with a little bit of topsoil. It'll help get the water in faster. The clay doesn't really like transferring water, obviously. So we'll line that, and then once we get the tree in, I got a little bit more, and we'll kind of spread it all around and feather it out. suppose I should have gotten a little deeper with the tree. Oh well, we'll just fill up to it, mound it up real nice, taper it off. It won't matter too much. Let's see if it will stand on its own. Well, it stands. I'm pretty sure once we get the dirt all graded off, we're gonna need to put some supports on this thing, probably for the rest of the year, just so it doesn't blow over in a big wind. Okay, let's get some more topsoil, fill this in, smooth it all out, make it look pretty, and get some water to this. Tree is mostly straight. Got that smoothed out pretty good. It was a little high, but what can you do? Looks good. Well, I found out where my dog keeps all of his prized possessions. He buries his antlers in the black earth pile. I guess it's easy digging, smart dog. That looks really good. Let's go get some water on this. It's gonna need a lot of water. Leaves are already wilting. So hopefully it recovers. It might not. We did a number on that tree, but it's worth it. It's worth trying. Okay, here we are at the 1 week check-in. We have been watering this thing basically day and night. And aside from the branches that the tree, when it was laying down on the ground, seem to be dying off a little bit. Some of them are broken. But the rest of the leaves on the tree were quite wilted after we moved it, obviously, you know, digging up all the roots, but they have sprung back. They're looking pretty good. Life was coming back in the tree. So I'm really hopeful that this thing's gonna make it. Obviously, we have still yet to get any bracing on it. I did go ahead and get some pruning paint. So let's put a little pruning paint on where I messed up the bark there. Just it'll stop any bugs and things like that from getting in under the bark. Help protect the tree. Hey, that should help that tree a little bit. Taking the bark off a tree is just like getting a cut on your body. The trees can bleed out there. I don't know if the oaks are all that susceptible to it, but it's not gonna hurt. It's meant for it, so we'll give this thing the best chance. Obviously, I don't have the bracing on, so we're still gonna have to do that in the future. It seems to have stand up to a bit of wind already, but I don't doubt that on a big storm, this thing could come laying down, so. Anyways, I'll take care of that in the future. I think the tree's doing good. I'm actually pretty hopeful, more hopeful than when we started this, that it's gonna survive. So I'm pretty excited, and it's probably hard to realize on camera, but the feel of the yard is much different. And to all of a sudden have a big 30-foot tree in a different spot on your yard, you know, in one day, changes things. It's kind of cool. We're liking it, and I'm pretty hopeful that we'll be able to get the second one moved probably next year once I have my power service turned off. All right, well, I'm really happy with this video. Doing things that I've never done before is what I like to do. As I mentioned before, there's a whole playlist of videos with the wheel loader. We got that snowcat build, and then we're always doing fun things like this. So go ahead, hit that subscribe. I don't ask it much, but it really will help me out and keep doing videos like this. So cheers, we'll see you in the next one.